big paper. They go out in the countryside. They get this big smoky fire going. They get wet straw, wool from the sheep, mix it all up, spread it out, light it off, drape this paper over the top, and sure enough, after a few minutes, up and off goes the paper. Well, now they're really excited. Yeah, hang on, there's more coming. She's going, really? They're from France. So they're really excited because they just proved the theory of hot air balloon flight. So they get busy making this bigger and better paper. While they're doing that, the King of France heard what was going on. So he got word back to the Montgolfiers. He said, hey, Montgolfiers, it may not be safe for people up in the atmosphere. Therefore, we're going to send prisoners on the first balloon flight. Not real people, just prisoners. The Montgolfiers said, hey, wait a minute, Kingy. I mean, it's going to be a real honor to be the first person to man a balloon flight. But, you have a good point here. How about if we do farm animals? King thought about it, said, okay. So, they get this big balloon built. Same basic shape as the one you rode in this morning. The big difference, instead of a separate basket like we have, the balloon was built all the way to the ground. They had a catwalk. You could walk all the way around the bottom of the balloon. And they had a basket on the inside that they actually had an open straw fire for their heat source in their paper hot air balloon. So what they'd have to do was carry these big buckets of water-soaked sponges with them, because if they flew along, the balloon would catch on fire up on top on the inside, and they'd have to throw these sponges up in order to put the fires out in order to keep on flying. A little more complicated than my operation. So they get this big balloon built, they heat it up. They put a sheep, a duck, and a rooster in there. Off goes the balloon. Little sheeping and ducking, I got part of it right, huh? Little sheeping and ducking and roostering and animal nervousness and bickering and carrying on. Balloon cools off, comes back down, they check out the animals. Look, they seem to be just fine. So they take the animals out, put the people on, they heat it back up, off goes the balloon, and that's how the sport of ballooning started. 1783. Now they had two significant problems in the history of ballooning. The first problem they had was they take off from that French country land, fly across that French country land, land on that French country land. Excuse me. And these French farmers would see these things coming out of the sky, billowing smoke. Well, every French farmer back then knew that the only thing that came out of the sky were devils and demons. So they did the only reasonable thing. They ran to the barn, they grabbed the pitchfork, and they charged the balloon. And they pitchforked the balloon. And they pitchforked the passengers. And they even pitchforked the pilot.
Oh my goodness.
Well, that had to stop because it was like taking all the fun out of the balloon ride. So everybody gets together. The pilots, the crew, the everybody, they're going, hey man, this pitchfork thing, we've got to solve this because it's like taking all the fun out of the balloon ride. So they're milling around, trying to figure it out. Finally, one of the pilots goes, aha! The Frenchmen, they like the champagne. So they started carrying champagne with them. Now your test questions for the day. Who knows what this ridge is for in the top of the champagne bottle? And don't say it's keep talking. Did you tell them already?
I don't know.
What they would do is tie a little rope around the champagne bottle, hang it over the balloon, so the farmers could see they had champagne with them.
So they wouldn't shoot them?
Yeah, wouldn't pitchfork them. But the problem was the dumb bottle kept slipping out through the ropes, so they had to redesign champagne bottles just for hot air balloon pilots. Cool, huh? And all along you thought it was the cork. Okay, so the part where if they didn't tie good with the rope and it slipped out through the rope, that part was true. So they load the balloons up with champagne, they take off from that French country land, fly across that French country land, land on that French country land. These French farmers see these things coming out of the sky. They run to the barn, they grab their pitchfork, and they charge the balloon. And the pilot would jump on it and the back and go, no, no, friendly. Champagne. Well, every French farmer back then knew that devils and demons were not supplied with champagne. So now they're confused. They stop, they think about it. While they're doing that, pilot slips on up there, does what he does second best. He starts talking to them, turns it into a party, and that's how we come to initiating our new balloon ride into champagne.
That's good.
Yeah.
So, that's a nice story.
The other significant problem they had was, my story isn't done yet. Ballooning was so much fun that they kept flying farther and farther and longer, and these poor paper balloons just weren't holding up. They were coming apart, falling out of the sky. People were getting hurt. Well, about that time, this Irish clergyman comes onto the scene and he says to himself, he says, so, I think maybe I need to come up with a balloonist prayer. You know, something to kind of help my fellow countrymen off on a good, safe flight and a nice, soft landing. And that's in my best Irish accent. This is how the balloonist prayer goes. The winds have welcomed you with softness. The sun has blessed you with his warm hands. You have flown so high and so well that God has joined you in laughter and set you gently back in the loving arms of Mother Earth.
Nice.
Pretty cool, huh? Now, pass that camera over here and I'll take your picture, making this official, drinking your liquid with your hands behind your back. All right, here he goes. Okay, yeah, no spilling now, nice and slow. Oh, beautiful. Take your time. Nice. Nice. Now, officially, you two are what?
Aeronauts.
Aeronauts, hey! All right.
Thank you.
Guess what?
Thank you.
Oh, you're welcome. You're welcome.